Hi there, and thanks for watching this video. This one is going to talk about focusing and how it can help be a mental way to think about making lots of decisions, particularly musical ones. We can avoid some of the complexity in decision making and be able to concentrate on more the musical creative process. So the couple of main things I'm going to talk about is the setting of the intentions and creating creative limitations that can avoid some of that overwhelming choice that we have. When you can do anything today with music or any creative process really, sometimes all those options can be actually sort of stifling to that creativity. So we're going to talk about how we can break things down. Our lives are full of decisions, and as we get older and we have more responsibilities, we've got lots more distractions and decisions to make. One particular approach to this is, and it's kind of like the lazy approach, but it's like simplification. And simplification is fine for a lot of things. The way that the world works is very much geared to efficiency and simplification, and lots of businesses and services and things are there to make things simple for us. They take choices out, they do things behind the scenes to make stuff work for us. We can't spend all day just doing and thinking about the complicated world we live in. There's lots of arguments about simplicity versus complexity. I think the main thing with simplifying any process is you tend to miss out on some of the hurdles and some of the challenges and the things that you sort of trip up on. But those things which we trip up on every day are the things that allow us to learn, allow us to discover new things, to take us on different paths. And that's really important creatively, especially with music. Things that kind of challenge us and take us in these different directions is super creative. So that's just one thing to be aware of with this simplification process. We need to try and find a way to do it that works for you or for us, but also keeps those moments of surprise or things that can create nice unexpected results. So my approach to making music is, I'm typically work alone, or I work with other people, but not at the same time. It's asynchronous. I'm kind of working on one thing at a time, and I do it in little chunks. So I might be working on a particular, using a particular instrument or creating a melody or working on a drum beat. It's that sort of modern bedroom producer approach to creating and writing music. The way that I do it here in the studio is I don't have everything wired up ready to go all the time. For me, and this is a personal preference, I like working with one machine or doing one thing at a time. So I'll bring something over, I'll plug it into a computer or a recorder, and I'll work focused on that particular sound and instruments. It depends how you work. I've found that this works for me. Like other people I've worked with or other people who create music like to have everything patched together, all set up in their studio, and when they can, it's on ready to go at any one time. And you need to sort of experiment with this stuff and see what works for you. Like I say, I come from a background of sampling and focusing on little sounds at a time and then assembling those into pieces of music. So that's just my personal preference and approach. Some people just work really quickly and write on one instrument and then want to layer in the next part straight away, and then the next part while they're in some kind of flow with the music making. So this is something that you guys need to experiment and just figure out what works for you. And that comes on to my next point. So I was discussing this video I was doing with a friend of mine who works at Ableton, and Ben Casey is an old friend of mine who used to write music with, and he was talking about a terminology called Misson Place, which is a French term used in cooking. And I hadn't heard of this before, and it completely makes sense. And weirdly, I'd never made the association with the analogy of making music and cooking. But on reflection, they're quite similar. And I'm going off on a tangent here, but let me explain what Ben talked to me about. Misson Place. Misson Place is, when you watch TV cookery shows and they've got everything, all the ingredients already chopped up and cut out into tiny little bowls, and it's just like, right, now we're going to add the crushed almonds, add the egg, add the beef, and I have no idea what meal this is. I'm imagining beefy almond egg, and yeah, it's all there ready to go. This preparation, this pre-planning, means that you can really focus on the cooking part and really, getting into the flow of that, and perhaps choosing the ingredients. Maybe let's think of a better analogy. Making curries. So, there's constant ingredients that are reused in different recipes for curries. Whether it's like sorting out your particular combination of spices, or your chopped tomatoes, or your favorite chilies, or having like a base paste. This can completely translate to music. If you've got your favorite combination of drum hit sounds, starting to kind of explore as a writing session, as a creative session, as I'm going to spend an hour today and not make music. I'm going to find drum sounds that work nicely together, or I'm going to create some templates in my DAW, my music workstation, to make it easier, that when I've got an idea, I've got a template ready to go that might have a few basic, might have a piano and a Rhodes sound, or like a basic drum kit in there that helps you if you want to sit down and just write melodies straight away. You don't need to worry about the sound design. You've got something there to help you get going from that particular point. And I think sometimes when we are writing music, it doesn't all happen in one blank canvas to finished piece of music. We're setting things up, we're preparing things in advance, so that at the moment where we focus on the creative nugget of the idea, we can just get straight to it without more decision making and distractions. What kind of music producer maker are you? Are you a curry music producer? Do you like the spicy Thai? Are you more of romantic Italian flavour? Or is it just cheese and biscuits? Another thing that Ben mentioned was this concept of writing drunk, editing sober, which I think is maybe lifted from an old Ernest Hemingway quote or something. But the principle behind it is, whilst you're in, buzzing in the music making process, just go for it. Just be experimental. Just like let it all go. And then in a completely separate session, on another day or a few hours later, go into it, listen back and tighten it up and edit it. And this is a creative tip that works in anything really, whether you're writing, just letting things flow and just doing the wrong thing at times and just being quite experimental with it. All the good stuff will come out and loads of bad stuff. So just trim the bad stuff afterwards. That's a really smart way of working and splitting up that creative time, into two separate disciplines, and, focusing on the right thing at the right time. On that note about, drunken creativity, try and find your happy hour. So for me, that's probably about 4:30 to 5:30 in the afternoon. Yeah, I didn't realise for quite a long time, like for years, I thought my most productive creative time was, late in the evening, staying up late and doing these things. And yeah, it was only through, the luxury of being able to make music like all day at any time of the day that I realised that I have like peak times to focus on particular parts of the music making, and different parts of the day were better doing different activities related to it. So yeah, for me, this sort of golden hour, this happy hour, is later in the afternoon when maybe it just feels like the pressure's taken off a little bit. I've managed to get quite a lot of things done in the day, tick boxes, done administration, spoken to people about work things, taken the dog for a walk, and it's not quite dinner time in the end of the day yet. It's this sort of time when, I feel like I can focus without some of the distractions I've had throughout the day. I feel like I've put things out the way, and now anything that happens in this hour is fine. Approaching it kind of almost like a bit of bonus time means that can really come through in my music. So sometimes if I'm struggling to write something, I'll make sure that I've definitely got that part of the day free from, saying, having Zoom meetings with folks, because I know that if I get those under my belt and conversations, things happened early on in the day, I've not got that worry of, I need to speak to this person about this later. Those kind of things can really help us focus. So have a think about how you're making music in the, what time of the day, and experiment with things. If you have a day job doing something different to music, which I'm sure like a lot of you or most of you will have, try doing a music session in the morning before work, or, don't just rely on those sort of off-peak kind of times for making music, because you might find ways to do something creative in your lunch break. You can write music in 20 minutes. So if everything is in place, this Misson Place, if you've got things set up, you've got a way to be creative and write something on your phone, you might find that that's all you need. If it's coming up with lyrics, maybe it's using the commute to do that. And, have a think about where you make music and what time of day. Another thing we can talk about is the flaws in the music process, the mistakes, the ugly parts of music, the things that don't work. That's something to be embraced. So if you set out to make music and are striving for getting it right, achieving that perfect performance, start the opposite way around. Like try and break the rules, try and do things wrong, expect failure with this stuff, and almost try and get it wrong, do it slightly wonky. It takes that pressure off a little bit, and you'll find new ways of doing it, and you'll probably get the perfect performance by trying not to do it, if you get what I mean. So whatever it is, whether it's your learning piano in like chord inversions, or learning how to patch your modular synth, like start with very basic things and try and learn it inside out, and it'll be painful. It's like one of those things where you just need to keep trying very simple things until you can do them inside out, and they're going to just get wrong. They're going to be wrong. It's this thing I was talking earlier about, kind of this laziness. Like, it's easy to skip over things to avoid that complexity, but actually look at some complex things to do with your music and just keep taking time as a separate sort of disciplines and moments to try and perfect them or try and fail at them. Just, keep going at these little activities where you're not trying to write a whole bit of music, but you're just trying to master a particular technique or mini skill. And once you've got those, all those little mini skills, they all are held there in your library of your mind, ready to go when you're just in that moment of, got it, I want to put a jungle beat on that. You know how to write a jungle beat. You're not in that moment trying to figure that out. You've learnt that and another exercise. But yeah, you're going to have really wonky jungle beats until you get it right. But that might become your new signature. So really spend time doing the little mini skills involved in music making. You can look at these mini skills and they're going to be all different depending on what kind of music you make and what you're interested in. So just create a list and just start, look at some of your peers, look at musicians or bits of music that you admire and ask yourself, how could I do that? How could I approach it in that way? And that's your exercise for the day. Doing one little music thing a day that's on the periphery of the writing and the kind of main creative side, those little mini skills will just ladder up. If it's an hour in the evening doing that because that's where your head's at and that's all you can think about for that particular concentration, do that in the evening and then wait to the weekend and spend 2 hours applying those little skills to a writing process and see how that works. So what practical things can you do? Some little tips just to end this video. If you've got a studio, if you're studio based, give it a good clean, pack some of the stuff away. If you've got everything out, and we were talking about the studios where you've got everything ready to go, unplug it, like put some of it in your wardrobe, box it up, give yourself 2 or 3 bits of kit to work with for a few weeks that, set some creative limitations and see how that works for you. If you're primarily using a computer and you're very much in the box, don't have all the overwhelming amounts of plugins and things you've got, just go, right, I'm going to use this and this for a month. And I'm going to make all my music with a wavetable synth or this new plugin that you've bought, and learn it inside out and limit yourself, in software as well. If you are ever getting this urge to buy new gear to help you be more creative, just stop for a minute and think about this video and all the little things you can do to challenge you in completely creative ways to take you somewhere new. Hopefully this video can help you stop for a minute and give you some inspiration about actually little creative and practical ways to maybe rethink or limit the things you already have, and just help you make a decision to go, I'm going to use that thing I've got but in a completely different way. And honestly, I've bought loads of gear over the years, and I think almost 100% it's actually my way of stopping, looking at what I've got already and trying to rethink how to use it differently, that has always got me really exciting new ways to make stuff rather than a new bit of gear. I've kind of got out of a habit of buying more and more stuff recently, and just sort of having a few bits and pieces that I can sort of just spend more and more time on and learn inside out. So yeah, if you've got gear, it's a nice creative challenge. But if you haven't got anything, if you are looking to get into this, or perhaps spend a bit more time thinking about a mindful connection to music making, I spoke to Ben, who works in our local synth and electronic music shop in Bristol called Elevator Sound, and I asked him to have a think about what machines would be good to sort of help, not necessarily make music, but just to help kind of think about the sort of relationship we have with some of the sound making and music machines. So here is a little clip from Ben.
Hi, it's Ben here from Elevator Sound. Carl asked us to do a little bit about mindfulness and music, and I think for the hardware side of things, you don't really get much more meditative than something like the Lyra. This is a bank of 8 separate oscillators, all of which are kind of feeding back into each other. The pots are non-linear, so there's plenty of ways to explore the pitches and how they interact with each other. There's a nice little bit of delay built in as well, so you can get these nice crackles, and some handy features like total feedback. You can route different voices back into each other. For these beautiful kind of swelling drones. There's slightly more dissonant stuff as well. Now, because of its kind of naturally detuned nature, sometimes it can lean a bit on the kind of dark and heavy side, but with a little bit of tuning, you can get some beautiful kind of pitch drones, very slowly oscillating, very meditative sounds. Beautiful stuff.
We can spend evenings and hours and lots of conversations and energy talking about the equipment that can make music. I definitely spend way too much time watching YouTube videos of new exciting bits of gear rather than making music. So I'm guilty of that. But yeah, just get some music gear. Don't stress about it, and enjoy exploring it. Don't worry about recording it. Think about the moments where you're playing the instruments and the satisfaction you can get from that. Think about, from these last 3 videos, how they affect your psyche and how they affect how you're feeling at the moment. Music can be a form of escapism. It can help you confront feelings you have. It's very powerful. So try and find and investigate and explore what works for you. That might be as simple as playing with some phone apps or some stuff on your computer. It might need more time and investment filling a room full of expensive musical equipment. It might mean you finding time every day to go out and walk in nature and appreciate some of the natural sounds in the world around us. But I think music has its place and power for everyone, and I encourage everyone to find some way of exploring music and sound. So hopefully these last few videos have given you a bit of reflection on music making, machines and the mind. And if you have any questions, add them to the comments below. And yeah, good luck with your music and sound journeys, and yeah, take care. Bye.